Welcome to a brand new episode of Bike Fit Tuesdays. In today's episode we're going to be covering pedals. All of these pedals here, most of them are clipless.
The clipless pedal thing's quite confusing, isn't it? Because they're not clipless, they clip in.
So we're going to run through one by one each of these most popular pedal systems, and hopefully that will help your decision making process if you are looking at using one of them. Number one.
This was the original clipless pedal. It originally came out with a fixed cleat, like a black cleat, and that tended to cause problems for quite a lot of athletes way back when in the 1980s. None of it was fixed until Time, which we'll talk about in a minute, developed a free float system. They come in a multitude of different materials. They come with a multitude of different axle options in terms of the material. So you can have a chromoly axle, a chromoly steel, or a titanium axle. You get a number of different bearing options, and some of them offer adjustability. A lot of the high-end ones use this carbon leaf spring to offer you retention. I personally actually don't like this because it lacks any adjustment, and it can wear out. So as a system, I tend to recommend the KO2 Max, which is an adjustment to it for the release tension. I tend to recommend these for lighter riders, lighter or smaller riders, as the resistance isn't quite as strong as it is on some of the other systems we're going to look at today. It's also kind of brand neutral, so if you've got a Campag bike or a SRAM bike, it's a little bit of a faux pas to have Shimano pedals on your bike. So this offers a brand neutral alternative. It's very, very similar to an SPD-SL in terms of its engagement and performance functions. Not quite as stable though, because it develops rock quite quickly. 3 different cleat options: a grey 4.5 degree float, a red 9 degree float, and the illustrious work of the devil, the black 0 float. Never use those, and if you cherish your knees. They've got a number of different price points, starting from like 30-40 quid, going all the way up to 250 quid for a top end titanium axle with needle roller bearings. They also, interestingly, have slightly longer threads on them, which allows you to stance them out a little bit more than you can with their other counterparts. So that can be useful in a bike fitting scenario. We now have some specific 2mm thick pedal washers that we got from our friends at Form. Hi Ronan. This brings us on to our next system, which is one of my least favourite systems. The Time system was the very first system to offer any form of float. Just to be clear, float is the amount of rotation that you see in the cleat and the pedal. It allows the foot to travel in a slightly more natural movement, and it tends to save your knees a little bit. So these are the first people to develop a pedal which had any amount of play between the cleat and the pedal. The reason I dislike this is that it doesn't really have any adjustment in terms of stance at the cleat. So the cleat is basically fixed in one place from a medial lateral perspective, and it can't really be adjusted. Furthermore, there isn't really much rotational adjustment. Benefits are it's neutrally balanced and neutrally weighted, which means that it's quite easy to clip into. It's very, very popular with riders who struggle with clipping in and out. So again, it's a light action system similar to the Look system, which means that newer riders might benefit from them. More seasoned riders, I mean, I certainly speak for myself here, where I find I used to pull out of them all the time. So if you're putting quite a lot of power through it, it tended not to be quite so good in retaining the cleat. Again, a plethora of different materials and tensions and bearing qualities, but like I say, it's one of my least favourite, but might be good for a beginner. This brings us on to my favourite system, and without a shadow of a doubt, our most popular system in the store, Shimano's SPD-SL. Sorry, these are my old pedals, they are minging. Comes in a multitude of different materials, starting with a plastic pedal, starting with a metal pedal, which is an R540, which you can pick up online for probably 20-30 quid, all the way up to the carbon fibre Japanese needle roller bearing Dura Ace pedal. This is by far and away the most stable system. It's got the widest contact patch. It's also the most durable. The bearing quality on these is second to none. It's better than basically every other pedal here, in my opinion. And the cleats is also extremely durable. One of the best options about the SPD-SL is the SLE, which is an extended axle, 4mm axle extension. This probably comprises about 95% of our pedal sales is an SPD-SL on the grounds that bicycles typically are designed around 20-year-old athletes who weigh 60 kilos and need to pedal through corners doesn't represent the individual that buys them, who are typically individuals of a slightly larger proportions and older generation. Anyway, this is one of my best selling pedals. It tends to result in a much better connection with the pedal. It's very good at relieving symptoms like pressure on the outside of the foot, and ultimately certain Tailfin started using these recently on my recommendation. So that's my favourite. Bearing quality is fantastic, really good levels of stiffness, super durable. The cleats are super cheap to replace, they're only about £20. As with the look, you have 3 cleat options. You have the yellow, which is 6 degrees, the blue, which is 2.5 degrees, and the work of the devil again, the red, which is 0 degrees, which fixes your foot. I've had to move location because people keep coming into my shop and spending money. Bloody customers. It is my least favourite. This is an old version. It's now being taken on by the people at Wahoo. SPEEDPLAY. Now, there are a number of benefits to a SPEEDPLAY system. It offers the most adjustability, I would argue too much, but it does offer a dual-sided entry system, so you basically can just stamp on the thing and away you go. These have enjoyed the myth that they cure knee pain for a very long time. We actually see a stronger correlation between these causing knee pain than the other way around, but ultimately I wouldn't go as far as to say that any pedal system causes knee pain per se. It is our least favourite system on the grounds that it has a much reduced contact patch. There's a lot of people who, this is going to be quite unpopular, but there's a lot of people who will talk about a shoe being like a carbon fibre sole, offering the same level of stability, but frankly the pedal still isn't as stable as something like a Shimano. Actually, the lack of stability tends to come from the C-spring that retains the cleat on the pedal wearing at quite an alarming rate, usually within 1,000 miles or so, which means that the pedal tends to develop rock. So with larger riders, it tends not to be a great system. Furthermore, since Wahoo took the system on, they have removed the 2 major benefits from behind using the system. One was the fore-aft extender plate, which enabled you to get the cleat significantly further back on the shoe. So if you had a shoe that was perhaps too big, or the cleat location didn't really work for your foot, then this plate enabled you to get the cleat much further back on the shoe, taking pressure away from the dense capillary structure of the forefoot. This no longer exists. You can also no longer get different axle lengths. So once upon a time, SPEEDPLAY was available in as much as 4 or 5 different axle lengths, which enabled you to increase the stance quite dramatically in some cases, which enabled you to optimize the rider's pedaling dynamics. I'm sad to say that has now gone. So unfortunately, sorry, Wahoo, it's by far and away my least favourite pedal system. We find ourselves removing a lot of these and replacing them with the Shimano.
They come with little aero covers that go over the cleats.
They probably are aerodynamic. The other thing that people quite like the fact that they're a very light pedal, but that's then accompanied by a very heavy cleat, so it sort of outweighs the weight saving. But you know, if you want to be really fastidious about your cleat setup, I don't believe you need to be. But if you do want to be, then this could be a good system for you because it offers a huge amount of adjustment. There are lots of other road systems, this Keywin and all these other kind of slightly more obscure brands. Campagnolo used to do a road pedal as well, but those are the main ones that are worth noting. Those are the ones that you'll tend to find in the marketplace. We probably ought to talk about, particularly with the rise of gravel, off-road and mountain bike cleats that have that have a recessed cleat. When we say recessed cleat, you don't actually walk on the surface of the cleat. You walk the cleat sits recessed up underneath the sole of the shoe. This is probably the most popular one. This is a Shimano SPD. These again come in several different iterations. It's got mud shedding ability, dual-sided entry, and again comes in a plethora of different options. Some of them I ride them on my mountain bike with a kind of little cage around the outside, which tends to improve stability a little bit. It's also a much bigger. It's a bigger target for your foot. So when you're trying to clip in, particularly mid-trail, if you pop out accidentally, then it makes it easier to get onto the pedal. Again, huge amount of adjustment with these. Really great system. Starts at about 30 quid and goes all the way up to a couple of hundred for your top end XTR jobs with titanium axles. There is also, now this is quite a rare or uncommon sighting, this is an SQ Lab extended axle SPD. You probably won't need these on your mountain bike because a mountain bike's bottom bracket is wider than a road, but going back to what we were talking about earlier about bicycles all being a little bit too narrow for a lot of consumers that ride them, this is, again, it has the same benefit of the long axle Shimano SPD-SL that we were talking about earlier, in that it offers an 8mm, it's a 6 or 8mm increase in the stance, I can't remember which, and is fundamentally exactly the same as a standard SPD. At the moment, you can't get them. I have been trying for some months to try and get about a boatload of them to sell them via our web store. We're going to put a link to our web store down there. I must say that if you're thinking about going to long axle pedals, it's worth employing the help of your bike fitter, asking them whether it's going to work for you or not. If you're a really super skinny individual that's relatively short, might not be the right thing for you. But then again, I've fitted small people with these and had gotten really great results. So in conclusion, slightly smaller pedal, the cleat's very small as well, so slightly smaller contact patch, which tends to yield slightly less stability, as we've discussed with the SPEEDPLAY, but so you might want to think about getting a stiffer shoe or a more supportive shoe, particularly if you're going to be using it for bikepacking or gravel riding, that kind of thing. But it does enable you to walk around in them because of the recessed cleat setup, so something just worth thinking about as well. I'm only talking about this because Francis is making me. This is a flat pedal. This is what we all used to ride with toe clips and death straps once upon a time. This, in performance cycling, I don't think has much place. It basically enables you to just stand on it and pedal. The benefit of a clipless system over this is that, well, let's talk about the reason why I don't believe in this. Ultimately, it enables your foot to move around on it. It doesn't keep your foot affixed in an optimal place, and that is probably why a lot of riders who use these over a clipless pedal don't get so many issues, because it enables their feet to sort of self-select. So for example, if you need a wider stance, your foot will sit on the outside. If you need more rotation, or very few people do, but if you need loads of rotation, you can sit with your feet like so. Furthermore, it doesn't require, there aren't any ramifications behind using a poor quality shoe, other than the fact that the shoe is usually quite soft when used in conjunction with these. That's sort of the benefit, but it doesn't keep your foot in an optimal place. So your foot moves around, which influences your saddle height, influences your foot stability. Frankly, it'll even influence your saddle comfort. If you're just kind of popping down the shops, that sort of thing, then this is absolutely fine. Maybe chasing the kids around the park, this is also fine. If you're going to be doing longer distances, the softer sole associated with shoes that tend to be used with these tend not to offer as much stability and support, so as a result you tend to get kind of foot problems, that sort of thing, as a result of using this sort of system.
That marks the end of today's episode of Bike Fit Tuesdays. Let us know in the comment section down below what pedal system that you're using. If you have any questions, please put them in the comment section as well, and we'll do our best to answer them. If you would like to book a fit with James, website is in that description down below. Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe and all that stuff, and bye.